Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Realtor Nation podcast, episode 12. My name is Ian Hoover, and I am the host of this podcast, and I'm very excited to bring to you the Realtor Nation, a show to improve your business. Today's pod is going to be great. I've been looking forward to this one for some time now. Realtor versus contractor. I am going to ask the questions you want to know and get an honest answer from the CEO of one of the top contracting firms in our market, Shannon, Staley & Sons. So before we get started, I want to talk about his impressive company. Shannon, Staley & Sons has been in business since 2014, has approximately 84 employees currently. It was ranked number 177 out of 5,000 in Inc.'s fastest growing 5,000 U.S. companies and was ranked number 4 in the Pittsburgh Fast 50. I'm very excited to introduce Steve Daniele. Welcome, Steve.
Ian, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Thanks for taking the time out of your busy day on a snow day in Pittsburgh to join the podcast. We've been planning this for a little while. I'm happy to have you on.
Thanks again. I appreciate it.
So if we could start by you telling us about your journey from, I think you were in construction yourself, right? And then you became the founder and CEO of Shannon, Staley & Sons. Or take us back and what was your journey?
So, Ian, my journey has one consistent component. I'm going to use the word failure. Through a variety of failed attempts, I found myself now doing what I do, which is CEO and owner of Shannon, Staley & Sons Construction. We're an 84 employee construction services provider here in the Pittsburgh market. And my background is I did not come up in the trades. I actually have a finance degree from Penn State University, and I was hired by a new construction builder. And that's really where I learned the business. Ended up getting exposed to operations, to sales, to marketing, to service, really the whole gamut for that first employer. And that's how I was able to learn the business and really be able to start the construction company that I did.
So you went from having a finance degree to being in construction. Not really the typical path they probably preached at Penn State, right?
It's correct, but there was a reason. I similar to you, Ian, I fell in love with real estate. And what really happened is I started my real estate career right out of Penn State. Just bought my first duplex. My choices were live with my parents, live in a crappy one-bedroom apartment, or slap together a little bit of capital and buy a duplex and learn how to become a landlord. So I chose option 3. And really the construction piece followed me getting a few 2 units, 3 units on the real estate side. And I found pretty quickly that I need some construction help. And so that's honestly where finance found its way into a construction owner.
So the interesting thing that you said there is that you kind of started this out of a need, because the reason why I was so excited to have this podcast is because I think a lot of real estate professionals, and maybe I'm just speaking for myself, but a lot of real estate professionals have the feeling that contractors are such a pain to deal with, and they like it's one of the worst things in our industry. So that's essentially what you did. You said, this is broken and I can fix it, correct?
Well said. It was completely selfish for starting a construction company because I had a pain point as a real estate client.
So now I'm sure that you, with buying real estate, so how many properties do you approximately own, or do you know? I mean, I know sometimes it's hard to keep track.
So it's units for me because I don't know the total property number. I own some of these properties myself through various entities. I do partner as well. So I have a total units of 118 units right now.
Wow. Okay. Very impressive. I'm not quite there. I think I'm somewhere in the 60 unit range, but I'm getting there. Yep. So as much as we talk crap on contractors, I'm sure that you've had plenty of great experiences with our real estate professionals, correct? I mean, never once have run into a real estate agent.
Professional, courteous, specifically the Deacon Hoover agency, no mistakes. It's actually quite impressive.
I mean, hey, I did not pay for that endorsement. I just want to point that out. No, I mean, seriously though, have you ever run into a real estate agent where you're like, man, how does this guy do business? I mean, other than me, of course. I'm sure
Of
you see
course,
me.
Ian, like you said, 15 years doing real estate now. You know, real estate agents, like construction companies, they all have their strengths and they all have their weaknesses. And what helped me was really finding real estate relationships with other real estate investors. For me, the ideal is when I have a real estate agent. And it's even bigger than real estate agent. It's your title company, right? It's your lenders. It's your real estate agent. It's everybody that does a transaction when you're building a real estate business. For me, I found more success working with people that you can label them as competitors. You can label you and I as a competitor. We're both out there actively looking for properties. But I have found more success working with peers that are actually in the business. Ian, it's an abundance mentality, right? There's so much out there. I don't get concerned if I'm working with somebody and they get a deal before me. It's just there's so much out there to do. That's my opinion.
Okay, well, I like how you strategically did not bash real estate agents while answering that question. Good job there. Why do you think contractors get a bad rap?
It's deserved to begin with. Your reputation is earned, and no matter what industry you pick, you can't make it personal. There's failures in every position, every industry: construction, finance, banking, real estate agencies. As a stereotype, contractors and construction companies get a bad reputation because they don't deliver on their commitments. That's the number one pain point I hear from clients and potential clients.
I believe that is probably communication and not delivering on, creating false expectations, essentially, I think is what my experience has been. Now, your firm does some things differently. We're going to get into that here in a little bit. But I feel like most people deal with the 1 or 2 truck operation guys. And to be honest with you, they're not probably making enough money to run the business effectively. So they're literally taking the next job to get the deposit so they can continue to do payroll to finish the last job. And if that job doesn't meet the timeline to finish, then they're now late on starting the next job. And it's just this crazy cycle that I've seen these contractors get into. And it's more of just not charging enough, but then they're afraid to lose a job because that could take money out of their family's mouth. I mean, is that something that you think is pretty consistent?
I think there was a lot of truth there. I mean, I'm not going to bash contractors on this podcast, but I am going to bash the system. You defined the system really well there, right? A lot of contractors get in the trap. You described a cash flow trap, right? As far as maybe leaving the job a little early to start one, just so you can get the deposit, so you can go back to the job you left early, right? I mean, think of all the problems with what I just said there in 3 sentences, right? You probably have 2 unhappy customers on both sides of the equation. You have the one you left early because you couldn't finish their job as you committed to, and you probably ticked off the customer that you took money from too early because you haven't bought anything and you haven't done any work yet. It's not a real effective system, in my opinion, for hitting commitments. And I like what you said as far as running a contracting business like a business, which is make the commitments to your clients and keep it. And you have to overcome the cash flow, and you have to overcome the customer service issues, and you have to overcome quality issues from your labor force. It is like any other business in that sense when you have a service product as a construction company does.
So what have you done differently at your firm to fix what we call a broken system? Because clearly whatever you're doing seems to be working, at least from the outside looking in.
And we are experiencing some success. We have challenges like everyone else too. The one thing I did right is I hired right. And let's start with the word hire, because that's really, and my business, that's probably my biggest differentiator when I take my product out into the marketplace to sell to a client compared to a 1 or 2 man or woman band. My biggest differentiator is I hire employees, and that's not the typical approach in my business, in my niche of construction services. But what it's enabled me to do is I really have control over my product. Earlier in this line sequence of questioning, you really described an accurate scenario that a lot of real estate clients that I have, they would have said just what you said, Ian. By having employees and hiring the right employees, we're able to deliver our product on time, on budget pretty consistently. Yeah, we have some that go over, we have some that come under, but we're pretty consistent on our budget. But the key is we control the product. We're not at the mercy of somebody else's job. We're not at the mercy of cash flow issues from a subcontractor. We handle it all in-house. And so that was the one thing we really did right, is we really hired driven, passionate, intelligent people. And that's what really worked for us.
Well, the absolutely mind-blowing thing for me is that you hire actual W-2 employees compared to the average Joe contractor that's hiring 1099s, even though that may or may not be legal the way that they do it. And then you're providing them with benefits, with workman's comp, right? I mean, that's got to be super. Your workman's comp bill has got to be through the roof, and it probably is like me opening my accounting bill. I posted a funny GIF of Jim Carrey with a face on Twitter with me opening my accounting bill last week. But I mean, that's got to be something that like your heart drops every time you open that workman's comp bill. But that's the things that you have done to grow your business, and I'm sure it came with some struggles, but that's really, I think, what's setting you apart, correct?
You nailed it. The finance degree helped as I scaled out and laid out my business in a 1, 3, 5 year plan. I just started year 5. By all means, when I laid out a 5 year plan, 5 years ago, not everything has happened according to the plan, but you really summed that up well. I knew it was going to take some capital to be able to really stay alive as a company for those first couple of years, because I knew my direct cost of labor. That's what you just described. I knew they were going to be higher than the competitors, right? I offer 401k. I offer full medical, including dental and vision. We offer a lot of benefits that the craftsmen that we bring on cannot find in this industry, specifically with our competitors. So it does get us a better quality of craftsmen, no doubt. It lets them stay. So they learn our training, they learn our quality systems, right? And I think anybody who has a service company would attest to there's a lot of cost savings year over year when you can keep your people. That's a huge cost savings for us. So what's happened over time is our direct cost of labor has went down. So when we first started the company, Ian, we could only choose a couple clients. We could really only choose the ones that were most time sensitive, right? They would overpay. They would spend more to hire my company than they could a subcontractor, with the guarantee that my company would deliver on time. So that's how we started. As my direct cost of labor have come down year over year, workman's comp's a great example. I actually pay a lot less in workman's comp in year 5 than I did in year 1 because I haven't had claims, because I have employees who follow OSHA and our safety protocols. And so it's really all been an investment and a building of a true business. And that's where now in year 5, I can much better overcome, pain point in year 1. And I didn't anticipate the market maybe being as large as it's turned out to be. As my direct cost of labor have come down, as my prices have become more competitive, more and more our markets, it feels like every month, every quarter, every year, are opening up that we did not anticipate, because our prices are really in line now in a lot more markets than they were out of the gate.
So I would, just from the little bit that I know you, which I've gotten to know you quite a bit over the last year or so, I would call you a borderline serial entrepreneur, because yes, you have your main contracting business, but it seems like, just like I do, when you're looking at your business, you're seeing a bunch of other opportunities that you are getting into slowly but surely. And can you speak a little bit on that? I mean, do you think there's ever going to be a point when you stop saying, okay, I'm not adding any more revenue streams for Shannon Staley?
Great question. Serial entrepreneur, I don't know about the term. I will admit to some of my flaws, which is the shiny object that's over there in the corner. I want to grab it like any entrepreneur. It's very difficult for me to stay focused. That's okay. Embrace that, right? But you're accurate. And as far as the latter part of your question, do I ever see a time where revenue will stop growing or whatever? What's interesting, Ian, is I started construction as a solution for my real estate problem. It turns out that the passion that I have for real estate, which makes me answer the real estate part of the question, is I can't ever see myself stopping. I hope my wife doesn't see this podcast. I don't at this time. The same passion has, through osmosis, I guess, has went right into construction, and I don't see myself anytime soon. That's for sure. Stopping what I'm doing on the construction side. And it doesn't have to mean rapid revenue growth like we've had. There's so many ways to grow, both professionally and personally. So maybe the growth is, higher level of satisfaction by my employees, right? Maybe that's growth. Year over year, my employees report being happier in their job. There's lots of ways to measure growth. And no, I don't see me stopping anytime soon right now. No.
You're a freight train. I look out for the competition. You're going to take over everything. So why have you not gotten your real estate license? You have purchased 118 units. I'm sure you've sold some stuff over the years. I know you do flipping as well. Why in the world did you not go and take what used to be 60 hours of training, now 75 hours of training, put a little piece of paper on a wall, and make commissions on every real estate deal you do?
Ian, if I did that, how would you be able to have this beautiful, wonderfully run podcast? Yeah, I need to pay for my real estate transactions, or otherwise I'd never get on a podcast like this. In all seriousness, let's use the passion answer again because it's the truth. You're right. I could have saved money, gotten the license, and more would have hit my bottom line. But there is more to this than the bottom line. I would have been miserable. I love you, but I cannot do what you do. I already told you I'm easily distracted. Can you imagine me filling out sales addendums? I mean, I can't think of a worse place for me. So that's why I chose, Ian, I gotta be honest with you. It doesn't bother me. The fees, the cost of services that I've been able to pay out for real estate agents, for title companies, I take a lot of pride in that. I'm glad I'm part of that process. And for me, it just makes more sense to have strong partners that can do the work that I either don't want to do or am really, really bad at.
I like how you use the word strong partners. Like you're calling us partners essentially, because we are. Obviously we funnel leads to you. You funnel leads to us. You buy stuff. So there's a partnership with contractors and real estate agents for sure. And then to answer your question, I have seen somebody like you try and fill out a sales addendum. Have you met my partner? Okay. Yeah,
okay. Fair enough.
Fair enough. That's why we have an assistant that fills out his paperwork for him, right? So, it can be painful to watch for sure. So, tell me some of the things that you've done to take your business to the next level. You always hit that wall, and what have you done to take your business to the next level?
And I know I get a little repetitive in my answers, but as you can probably tell, I don't run a real complicated business, right? there's not a lot of trade secrets over here. To get to the next level, you have to be unafraid and unintimidated, and park your freaking ego at the door to be able to hire and work with people that are smarter than you. That is something I see entrepreneurs fail on all the time. I can tell you in year 5, my team and some of the people that I have working for me, most of the people I have working for me, I mean, they raise my game every day. That's how it keeps getting raised is, my bandwidth, we're past that. This animal has grown way past Steve Daniele, that's for sure. And I'm able to take it to the next level because I have people pushing me to take it to the next level. And you know something? Take a lot of satisfaction when we get to the next level, and I'm not by myself in a room celebrating. I'm actually with a group of people that I want to work with. I want to spend my professional life serving, and vice versa. And boy, does that make it enjoyable when you hit that next level. Because unfortunately, right, when you go to the next level and you're a guy that's went to the next level multiple times, you can't just like skip the part where it's really painful, right? Like that's not an option.
No.
I haven't. If you have, please tell me. You're smarter than me, like I just mentioned, so I could use that answer. But I have not found the easy button. So
Staples sells it. I've seen it on. You just buy the easy button.
Yeah.
I love some of the things you said there. Actually, most of the things you said there. I'm always preaching to everybody to hire. Like, if you're an agent and you get busy, hire somebody to help you go to the next level. You can't do it all yourself, and if you try to, you're going to fail or just stay stagnant for a very long period of time. So let's talk about your marketing. How do you market your business?
Word of mouth.
Word of mouth.
Word of mouth. Marketing and advertising are two different terms, right? If you look at our 2019 budget, there is no line item for advertising. That could change at some point, but for us and for the customer we're working to keep happy and then attract more of, we believe advertising isn't the marketing engine for what we're looking for. So I guess to answer your question, I think you better know your market first, right? Before you start plopping down cash, time, whatever, to do marketing, you better know and you better be crystal clear on what you're actually trying to attract. I think that's a problem is business owners will maybe not have their market clearly defined. And then the real problem is you spend money marketing, and then you got even a bigger problem on your hands because you marketed to something that you can't even successfully do. Our marketing approach is driven by word of mouth, relationship, and making sure that we're targeting the market that we're successful at. I'd love to tell you that we are successful at every aspect of construction services. That would not be honest. We have strengths and weaknesses like every company, and we truly market towards what our strengths are. And then we work to improve and hire to improve on what our weaknesses are, so that hopefully we can market to some additional areas every single year.
It's funny. My agents come to me and say, "Hey, what do you think about paying for Zillow leads or Realtor.com leads?" And I'm like, "Well, have you made your expire listing calls every single day? Because those are free, And a lot of times the answer I get is no, or I've made them a couple days this week. And it's like, well, if you're not doing that, you're not going to follow up on those leads you're paying for. So what makes it anything? So you're obviously in a very similar industry, and you also invest in real estate. What's your favorite thing about the real estate business?
What's my favorite thing about that's a good question. What's my favorite thing about the real estate business? My favorite thing is typically it'll take some capital and it'll obviously take some work, construction, property management, acquisition, all those fun parts of being a real estate investor. But typically, I forget about my real estate investments. And why that makes it my favorite thing is it grows via appreciation very quietly in a corner. And we've already touched on my lack of discipline. So it forces me to, not spend a lot of time agonizing or I don't have to read my balance sheet, my income statement every single day on every real estate entity I have, right? It's a pretty consistent product. And my favorite thing is that it allows me to really not dedicate an overwhelming amount of time once you successfully complete. I'm speaking as a buy and hold investor, right?
Yep.
And I do fix and flip and I do buy and hold, but when it comes to the buy and hold part, that's my favorite part. Is you buy it, you struggle like everybody to get the project done on time, and you struggle to get your tenants in and blah blah blah, and then you're done. You'll have leaks here, stuff will pop up, all that good stuff. You hire a good property management company, and you let your partners run the business at that point, and it's quiet, and you just keep rinse and repeating, and usually the next project's a little bit better because, like on every project, no matter how long you've been doing it, you do learn something. That's for sure, right?
Absolutely, you sure do. So, what's your least favorite thing about our business?
Real estate agents. No, kidding.
Touche.
Yeah. What's my least favorite part of real estate? I'll go to the fix and flip for a minute. I'm not sure this is my least favorite. This is what popped in my head. It does frustrate me when a buyer of a fix and flip has a stereotype that it's poor quality. I don't like that part of the business. I'm great with it. Yeah, I see all the time. And I'm great with it when there is a poor product delivered by someone who's trying to fix and flip. Good. The customer, the buyer needs to call them out. But I'm not super comfortable with that stereotype because I look at fix and flip, again, another passion I have, as a great way to take a dilapidated asset and turn it into, a nice little contributor to whatever street, whatever township, whatever city it's in, right? Now all of a sudden it's back on the tax rolls. Now all of a sudden someone's actually living there, getting some kind of enjoyment out of it. So that's one of the aspects I don't like about real estate is that negative connotation. I'm a data guy, so, I get it. There's stereotypes everywhere. For goodness sake, I own a construction company. I get the stereotypes, but
one bad apple ruins it for everybody. That's what I always say.
Yeah. It's tough on that side of the business. That's for sure.
So this is going to be an interesting question. I'm looking forward to the answer. From the time you wake up to the time you go to sleep, what does a typical day in the life of Steve look like?
Ian, it's so boring. How can you possibly be excited by this question? So anyway, let me answer quickly so we can move on to hopefully an interesting question that someone wants to listen to.
I'm actually excited.
So I am one of those freaks that gets up early. So I had no alarm clock, none of that. I get up at 4 a.m. It's like one of those like Groundhog Day things where like I can't avoid it. Like it's either between 3:59 and 4:02 on my phone every morning when I wake up. And I go right to the office. My office is 5 minutes from where I live. I'm usually in the office by like 4:05, 4:10. I like to get emails done for an hour. I like to have mindless work with a couple cups of coffee. And then I go do my workout at 5:20. You can't tell you're going to embarrass me. I'm a little rhythmic. The typical day is pretty darn typical. Get back to the office around 6:30, 7 o'clock. And then it's a mix. So my typical day will involve small, we'll call them 2 to 3 little time blocks where I'll turn my phone off actually and close the door for 40 minutes. That's the end of my focus. 40 minutes is my max, but I'll truly get my top, call it 3 to 5 priorities done. I like to do one at 8 o'clock and I like to do one at 9 o'clock. What that's enabled me to do, so I never really schedule anything, and you know this about me, from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. You can't really grab me because I'm getting my priorities done. And that enables me as an owner of an 84-employee company, it enables me to be able to handle everyone else's problems the rest of the day because, frankly, that's my job. And so the rest of the day is a mix of meetings, phone calls. I don't do a lot of podcasts. This is actually my first one. This is not typical. And that's really my day. And then, I'm done at 5:30, between 5:30 and 6 o'clock. I got 4 kids at home. I have a wife. I'm big on, 4 a.m. to 6 p.m. is enough. If I didn't get what I needed done, then that's probably my fault, not somebody else's. Dinner with my family. The kids are in sports and all that fun stuff at night. Go to bed around 10:30 and do it all over again.
Teach me, O wise man. I cannot wake up at 4 a.m. I wake up at 5 and get to the gym and do my thing, but 4 a.m., I've tried numerous times, and I just can't do it.
Everybody, and you know what I can't do, and I bet you do this well, 9:30 at night, 10 o'clock, if you really got something you got to get done, right, you can pop that laptop open. I couldn't do that. I mean, my house could be on fire, and if it was 9:45, I'm just going to say, you know what, I'm going to bed. I will handle this at 4 a.m. We're all different, right?
I'm a big 10:30, 11 o'clock emailer. Yeah.
Nope, I'm the jerk responding at 4 a.m. to your 11 o'clock emails. That's how we work, right?
Well, the funny thing is, I bet the reason why you email at 4 o'clock and why I email at 11 o'clock are the same thing, right? Because you don't get a response.
But so well said. You shouldn't spend your entire day staring at your inbox. I mean, right. What are you really accomplishing? You have to have rhythms, and you have to be able to, you shouldn't let your email go for 3 days. That's going to be a problem. But you shouldn't be staring at it 24/7. I mean, that's not what email's for. So anyway, I'm going down a tangent here, but that is the typical day. And it sounds like you have something similar, where you kind of have your little time blocks set up, and it's the only way to get stuff done.
I'm
Yeah.
very structured as you are. I honestly hate the weekends because I feel so unstructured on the weekends that I just can't wait for Monday to come back. And people tell me I'm crazy, but that's just how I
Nope.
am. That's how I'm wired. So one thing that's been introduced to me as of late, and I'm trying to implement it into my daily routine, is meditation. Do you meditate?
I do. I'm not going to impress you. If I can get 5 to 10 minutes done a day, that's big for me.
It's
But
huge.
I'm typically doing 5 to 10 minutes a day.
I love it. I absolutely love it. And that's something I'm trying to add to my business, just 5 minutes a day to shut off the lights and meditate
Mhm.
for a minute and get back to work and get focused. So that's great. So you're clearly working quite a bit of hours. If you were to start over tomorrow and have to rebuild Shannon, Staley, and Sons, what changes would you make?
What changes would I make if I had to start over? I'd invest in the tools that it requires to hire right. I was slow to that, Ian. That was my answer when you asked me what I did right. What I left out of my answer is it took me years to get there. I would immediately, for the limited capital that we all have when we start out, and frankly, as we keep going, I just funnel it to tools that just raise the probability that I'm going to hire the right person. That's what I would change.
Is there a tip that you can share that helped you in the hiring process? Was it like a specific question or a specific tool that let you know that you got the right person sitting in front of you?
It was hiring the right. The title of my company is Director of Human Resources and Recruiting. It was hiring that. It was first creating that position, and then hiring for that position. Let me give you an example. We're a construction company, right? So as little as 3 years ago, we would do what a lot of people who need construction services do. We'd go on Craigslist and we just start calling guys and say, "Hey, you want to show up at our job site on Monday?" I mean, that was how we grew. I wouldn't do that if I started again. I would instead go volunteer to be on the board of directors at Triangle Tech, which I now am. And all of a sudden, the quality of a potential candidate coming out of Triangle Tech is frankly a lot different than the quality we were getting when we were calling random people on Craigslist. So that's what's happened is by creating that position and finding the right person to fill that position, he's taken that example and he's just multiplied it by 100, right? And
Absolutely.
he is all day, his passion is finding people in our construction trade and matching them to potential positions at our company. And we get some people that we hire them and they don't start for 9 months, and that's unheard of in our industry. But he's built it like a true. A lot of people are familiar with a sales backlog, a sales pipeline. We
Yep.
have a employment pipeline, and that's what I would do differently. I would start that way earlier. I've learned so much on that end in 5 years. It's crazy.
I love it. You hired somebody to effectively change your hiring, which is what you feel is your biggest and most important thing. So we are definitely running low on time. So I'm going to cut out a bunch of questions here. We're going to skip to. Well, I don't. I want to be. Your time is valuable. I want to definitely make sure I keep on track. So how important is goal setting?
It's everything. Goals are sitting right here. They're next to me all day, every day. I mean, well, you define your end result, right? I mean, if you don't have, so if you don't have goals, then you're not defining where you're going. Someone else is. So that's how important it is. Do you want to determine where you're going?
So my business coach tells me you have to share your goals. What's one of your goals you want to share with me?
I'm trying to see how bad I want to embarrass myself. All right. Okay. I mean, one of my goals is, I mean, they're bad. If I read all five, I mean, honestly, you would laugh at me for 4 of the 5. I'll play this card. One of my goals is to donate 10% of our net profits to a charity of our choice. There's a charity that's really close to Shannon Staley. There's a connection with an employee, a long-term employee here. So that's one of my goals, and that sounds ridiculous, but
That is amazing. I think it's a great goal.
Don't be patting me on the back yet, but maybe I picked that one because I like what you said about your business coach. I do share my goals. That's sometimes embarrassing, as uncomfortable as it can be. I do share the goals, and I like to say them out loud because then people can hold you accountable.
Absolutely.
Best way to achieve it.
Our goal, one of my goals this year is to get my real estate brokerage to 35 agents or more. So, I mean, it's you got to share those goals.
It's awesome.
And you got to keep building. So, what's your 5-year plan?
I'm going to continue doing 3 things. I'm going to continue running my construction company. I'm going to continue, this is God willing, of course, purchasing, buy and hold multifamily. I really like the 10 to 50 unit space residential. I'm going to continue my fix and flip operations. So those are the 3 things. I don't go out 5 years, full disclosure. I do 3s as far out as I'll go. So I have numbers and I have metrics associated with those 3 things. I do. Goals, just like you said. And so that's what I'm working on. That's it.
I like it. So who was your mentor and how did they help you?
Who was my mentor? If I could go back in time, by the way, I would have found more people experienced and had more conversations. Let me tell you that. My mentor was my dad, but that's not a typical construction company owner answer because I didn't come up in the trades and my dad can't swing a hammer. But my dad was my mentor because my dad was thrown. I like the quote, you can't control the cards you're dealt, but you can control how you play them.
Yep.
I would challenge that. I would say that he was dealt a challenging deck of cards, and he taught me. You have 2 choices. You can complain about your cards and fold, or you can just play. And that was a big lesson for me, and I've applied that lesson, and I've benefited greatly from that.
I love it. Yeah, I talk about my mentor quite a bit on this podcast. Alex, when I met him, I literally had like 2 pennies to rub together, maybe, if I was lucky. And, now I look back and I say, wow, one person changed the whole aspect of my life. Yep. So what does retirement look like for you?
Oh, buying real estate. Retirement looks for me like serving my family. I see it makes sense to me that how you allocate your time is never stand still, right? You're constantly analyzing it. And I'd like to believe that at that point in my life, there's the opportunity and the desire, frankly, to allocate more to kids, wife, hopefully maybe at that point, grandkids, whatever, right? So I think the key is options, Ian. My goal, my purpose is, I want to control my destiny, and I want to spend my time creating options. So if that's being financially free, if that's being healthy, whatever. But retirement looks to me like a reflection period of, hey, I didn't do everything right, no way, but I did focus on creating options for me. So now at this point in my life, I have more control over what I want to do with my time.
I love it. So you have 4 kids.
I do.
You hope that at least 1 or 25% of your kids joins the family business.
I haven't went there yet. They're young, Ian. Look, I'll be honest. If the business is at that point when they're of age and it can take on, my children would have to earn it like anyone else. They'd have to go through the same HR and recruitment tools that we talked about earlier. But if my business could do it and my children had a passion and a desire to jump in some kind of capacity, of course, I think like any proud father, I know you're a father. Sure, I'd be proud. But look, I've been so blessed to honestly love what I do. And obviously you do, Ian, right? I mean, you're one of the freaks like me who does look forward on Sunday night to getting up on Monday to go and do this.
I can't wait.
Honestly, man, I don't really care if the kids are in my business or whatever business, but if they feel that way on Sunday night that you and I feel, I'm gonna say that's a success. So I'd be pretty happy dad at that point.
Absolutely. I always say if I can instill one thing, it'd be work ethic. Like if they look at me and say, hey, my dad knew how to work and I'm going to work like that, then they'll be successful no matter what they do. So,
well said.
All right. Last question before we get into the blitz round. So we're almost done. And this is my favorite question. Tell me the funniest story of your career.
Tell you the funniest story of my career. I mean, I'm in construction, Ian.
Exactly. Hey, you can cuss on my podcast. I'm okay.
Man.
Click it.
About people tend to find the origin of our name humorous. So how about I go with that story?
Sure.
Okay. I think I've proven on this podcast that I am not a visionary, nor am I really anything special whatsoever. I'm going to close the deal here with this story. We talked briefly about I only started construction because I was trying to solve a real estate pain point, right?
Right.
Shannon, Staley and Sons is the name of my construction company. I do not have my personal name in there. And I actually didn't have boys. What ended up happening was it's completely made up because I spent zero time on creating. And by the way, I want to preface this. Please do not do what I did when naming any company that you're about to start, because this might be the worst idea ever. But I saw the logo. I'm not a visual guy, but I saw the 3 S's, and I like that logo a lot. And so I was just making up stuff, and I was having friends and family, and we're all just throwing crap together. And what happened is Shannon came first. I like the name Shannon, and somebody recognized that one of my favorite bands of the 90s, Blind Melon, had a lead singer named Shannon Hoon, if you're familiar.
Yep.
And so what ended up happening is Shannon Hoon did unfortunately die of an overdose. So why wouldn't you then match Shannon with Staley from Lane Staley of Alice in Chains, who also did what? Yes, correct. Now, the final piece of the puzzle when you're naming a company is when you name the first 2 names after gentlemen that had died of overdoses, you want to throw an and sons in because that gives you instant credibility. And that is the true story of how my company came to be named. That, off the top of my head, is my funniest story for you today.
That is way better than how we created the name of our company, because we literally tried everything, could not come up with ideas, and we said, okay, we're just using our names and moving on. And I recently had a meeting with somebody who's way more successful than I am.
Yep.
And he's like, you got to change this. He's like, you got to change this. You have to your abbreviation is great. Just roll with the abbreviation, take it out. And he's like, and I'll tell you why. When you get so big, eventually – they're going to be coming in the door looking for you. Where's Deacon? Where's Hoover? They're going to be looking for you specifically. So they're going to walk in the door and go, where's Shannon? Where's Staley? I want to talk to these guys.
One of the favorite features of our business is people will call and say, is Mr. Shannon there? And we'll say, unfortunately, he's passed. And they'll say, well, is Mr. Staley there? And they'll say, unfortunately, he's passed too. So you're right. It does make it humorous.
I love it. That was great. That's a great topper. Okay, so I go into the blitz round. You've probably never listened to my podcast before, so these are all going to get you completely off guard. But it's just quick answers, straight to the hip. All right, so what's your favorite technology tool? I kind of laughed. Steve is not a technology guy. Your iPhone 5, right? iPhone 5?
That is correct, Ian. Thank you for spelling that out. I have an iPhone 5, yes.
What's your number one thing that you do on your iPhone?
I have a calendar feature, and this is a really exciting blitz round. So the calendar is absolutely my number one thing on my iPhone.
I'm a huge calendar person, so it's funny. My wife will probably get super mad at me for telling this story, but we got in a fight one time, and she, I jokingly opened up because she said she was working hard that day, and I jokingly opened up her phone, and she had like 4 hours of Candy Crush on there, and she's like, "Okay, well, show me what's on your phone." And I opened it, and it was like phone, text, email.
Yep.
That's all my day was on my phone. And,
so I give your listeners something. I do use Todoist, Todoist. So it's an app on the phone, and then I have it on my laptop, and it's a priority task list, and it's really been helpful for me.
Almost
there
like
you go.
An Evernote, then. Okay.
That's exactly. It's very similar. but dumbed down for guys like me, Ian.
See, look,
Yep.
you gave us a technology tool. I had
I
to
did.
drag it out of you by
I did.
embarrassing my wife, but I got a technology tool. She doesn't listen to my podcast, so I'm totally safe there. One of our friends, maybe, who knows?
Gotcha.
Your favorite real estate book?
My favorite real estate book, I'm going to go with Rich Dad, Poor Dad, only because it changed. I read it as a teenager, and it changed the way I was looking at. I thought I'd be a W-2 employee, but it made me an entrepreneur. So it has to be that.
I read that book when I was 17, and completely mind-blowing. I had no financial anything in my family, and it just blew my mind, and that's probably why I'm here today. So.
There you go.
All right, so usually this question is if you were not an agent, but if you were not in construction, what would you be doing?
I mean, I would be a professional baseball player. You've never seen my fastball, but I can bring it as a crafty southpaw, so that's what I'd be doing.
Just a little help here. I think you'd make a lot more money just going and playing baseball if you do have a good fastball.
It wasn't that great, Ian. It wasn't that great.
Touche. What's your favorite hobby?
You're a busy man like me. It is absolutely time with the kids. It's as dumb as them putting on a costume on a Sunday morning and dancing around. It's going and shooting hoops with my oldest, watching my daughter dance where she has a real passion. So that's easy. My hobby is any second I'm not working, I want to be with one of my 4 children, ideally all 4 of them. I
love it. Great answer. What's your dream vacation?
Let me text my wife real quick on my iPhone 5. My dream vacation is hers, and it's through osmosis. I'm not exciting. I have an iPhone 5. I drive a boring Honda CR-V. And what do you want me to say? So since she'll never watch this, much like your wife, our 15th wedding anniversary is 3 years away. So need to get her to a dream vacation in Hawaii. That's what she wants to do. She wants to surf. And yep. So
very cool.
I'm pathetic. I have to steal my answer to dream vacation, but that's actually it. It's my wife's. That's what I want to do for her.
You want to know what my dream vacation would be?
I'm dying to know what your dream vacation will be.
Sitting at home with my laptop in my lap working. That's what my dream vacation would be. The only reason I go on vacation is because of my wife. So
of course. You think you're alone on that? Of course. That's the only reason we go on vacation, Ian.
Right. Exactly. Well, Steve, this is officially the longest podcast I've ever done. I think it's some amazing content, and I thank you so much for joining us. Anything last minute words you want to say?
No, I do want to say thank you, though. I'm grateful that you put me on, and this was fun. I always enjoy talking to you. I don't care if it's a podcast or lunch or a phone call, so thanks for the time.
I know you're not a big social media guy, but I will take care of blasting you all over social media for this, okay?
Boy, it's going to go viral, let me tell you, Ian, so I'll be ready to get bombarded, I assure you.
Thanks, Steve. Have a good day, buddy.
See you, and take care.
Well, Realtor Nation, another great interview. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I sure did. Steve is a very entertaining guy, super successful, and I think it gave us a different perspective on some areas of our business. So if you're looking for construction in Western Pennsylvania, reach out to Steve and his company at Shannon, Staley & Sons. They do great work. No, they're not going to be the cheapest because of what he said. You got you got W-2 employees, you got workman's comp, but what you can count on them for is getting the job done, getting a job done on time, and probably on budget as well. So check him out. I'm going to share, tag him on Facebook and all that good stuff when we share our podcast out. And if if you're interested in learning more about us, please visit our website, dhrea.com. You can also say dhrea.com/learn. That's where all of our podcasts are. Please subscribe to our podcast, leave reviews. It helps us grow. And everybody have a wonderful day.